to my pain, y'all. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye to my trouble. Goodbye, fear. You ain't welcome here. Goodbye, fear. You ain't welcome here. Come on, say it.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for attending this training. I was talking with Bishop Birch and Pastor Lorna for a little while now about what we can do to better our state. And one of the things that we discussed was to have a monthly training hour where we can discuss topics and do trainings and seminars for everyone in the state of New Jersey so that we can continue to grow, not just as a state, but each and every single ministry so that they can do greater and better things for the community as well. So thank you for coming to this inaugural meeting. There are a few things that I would like to discuss first before we get into it. To start, I want everyone to know that Leader Labs is online, and it is something that Dr. Fred Garman, for everyone that knows, he was here this past year with us in New Jersey. He did Leader Labs with us and we had a lot of trainings and a great and marvelous time with him during his when he was here. And he is doing a Zoom video conference training during this time of COVID-19 for free. He has the recording from the seminar from last night that started at 6, and he has another one up and coming on April 12th, starting at 6 p.m. again on Sunday, and it's about leading from home best practices, so then you can continue to grow and develop during this COVID-19 time. The next thing that I would like to talk to you guys about and let you all know about is coming from the Youth and Discipleship Department, and that is our very own house party. That is right. This Friday night, starting at 7 p.m., we're going to have a house party via Zoom, and we'll be on Facebook Live for that as well. So invite all your young folk, invite all your youth leaders. We're going to have a good old time. There'll be prizes in the midst right then and there that will take place. And we just want to give everyone an opportunity to fellowship and to interact with one another, because the social distancing thing does not mean that we have to completely remove the form of community and fellowship that we love and cherish in the ministry. So again, don't forget, this upcoming Friday, we have the house party that'll be on Zoom. The information will be being sent out for you all, as well as on this upcoming Sunday at 6 p.m. Fred Garman will be doing another leadership training on Zoom for free for anyone that is interested. And for any of this information, you can hop on New Jersey COG for the info. You can hop on the Facebook Live Facebook page as well, and we'll be continue to be talking about that in the days to come. But without any further ado, let's talk about what we're doing tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about social and web media presence. Again, given what is happening in our society right now, the only way we can really interact is through web and social media. I know we talk about Zoom and Facebook and Instagram, and we all know that have kids that the biggest and hottest thing that is up and going right now is TikTok and all those videos. And there are a lot of things that are intertwined with that. And we want to help you guys understand what those things are and help you do what you're already doing better. So tonight I have Brother Mike Colley here. As we all know, he is right here from the state of New Jersey. He works alongside of Bishop Glenn Colley up in Plainfield. They do wondrous things out there. He focuses on the media there, and he's going to be talking about more about that when his time comes about, And then we have a buddy of mine that I've known for not a long time, but it feels like we've known each other for a long time because every time we interact with each other, it is quite literally a hot mess. And that is my boy, brother Mark Sparks. He is the youth pastor at Mount Olive Church of God in Cleveland, Tennessee. And he's going to be discussing about web social media presence as well. So if you guys have any questions during this time, please feel free to put them in the comments. We'll also be recording this so you can share that with people. But then, of course, on Facebook, whenever you go live, the recording is there as well for you to share. So, but please continue to interact with us, continue to chat. We will be doing as best we can to be doing that with you all. But without any further ado, I want to invite our brother Mike Colley to go ahead and teach us a little something about web and social media. Brother Mike Colley.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing good at home and, hope everyone's staying safe. So just to get started, because we only have 30 minutes, let me start. Well, I only have 30 minutes. I'll start my timer here. Just to go over kind of a couple of things when it comes to social media, branding, live streaming, everything like that. COVID-19 caught us all off guard, right? It was a surprise. It hit us. It sideswiped us. A lot of people didn't know what to do. A lot of churches who did not have the social media set up were caught, empty-handed. So now is a time where we're frantically working on getting these infrastructures in place, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about as well. This is like unprecedented time because now we know where all the eyes are, right? We can't say that, we should do billboards, we should do TV advertisements. We can't say none of that because we all know where the eyes are when it comes to social media, branding, things like that. All the eyes are looking online. And that's why it's super important to have a church media set up, a church brand set up when it comes to your organization. A lot of churches don't realize, but a lot of what goes on in the church is essentially a business, right? We have the church aspect where we come, we praise God, and it is a place of worship to God. But like here at New Covenant in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it is a business, right? We have employees, we have people who work inside the church, who do things inside the church. So I think it is super important to treat a lot of the logistical elements like a business because other businesses are flourishing. And unlike the church, they were able to adapt to social media and get out ahead. So I say that to say we focus a lot on social media when it comes to the platforms like Facebook, like Twitter, like Instagram, like TikTok, but we don't realize that part of social media is having a strong website. And I want to spend, just a brief time on that. Having a website is one of the most important things I can advocate for a church, right? We're using Facebook, using Twitter, using all the other platforms are necessary, but having a website, having a hub where all your members can go is super, super important in this time because your website is the face of your church. When someone searches you up on Facebook, that's great, but having a website gives them all the information they need at their fingertips, having that link. I know one of the bigger problems that we're having sometimes is people worldwide. My aunt, she lives in the Cayman Islands. Sometimes she's like, Michael, I can't see some of your posts on Facebook. Michael, I can't see some of your posts on the Instagram for the church. And unbeknownst to us, we found out that on Facebook, there's small settings hidden in there that restrict country access, things like that, right? So it's good to rely on the social media platforms, but I think it's super important for churches to develop their website, have an excellent media presence on their website, as well as social media. What does this mean? This means having a hub. So when you go to your church members, you shouldn't have to tell them, search this up on Facebook or search up New Covenant NJ or this or that on Facebook. And when they come back to you and say, oh, I couldn't find it, there's 10 New Covenants or there's 10 XYZ churches on there. You want to be able to go to your church members and say, to find our videos, to find our weekly services, to find every opportunity about us, all you have to do is go to xyzchurch.com/media, right? And there's a plethora of ways to do that. You could contact me after this, and I could work with you on that. But it is super, super important on your website to have a media hub where all your videos are plastered on there, where all your content, everything should be plastered on your website. And if you don't have a website, that is the first thing that you should be doing before you do your Facebook social media platforms, because that should be the central hub for your church to go to. Going down my list, the next thing I wanted to talk about was SEO and Google Business. Right now, obviously, having your church on the map is not really relevant because we're all at home. But I think something that a lot of people aren't really paying attention to is what comes after this, right? We're all stressed and we're all tired about COVID-19. Um, but this too shall pass. And the best thing we as churches can do right now is to work on our infrastructure so that after COVID-19, we can come out on top, right? It's not about looking at the now, it's being one step ahead. And a lot of that comes to do with the SEO and Google Business Optimization. I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but it's important to search up tactics to make sure that your church comes out on top, whether that's making sure you have proper tags set in all the videos you post. And when you post a video on YouTube, on Facebook, it's right there underneath the tags where you can put in relevant search terms for people to find you. And by the way, SEO means search engine optimization. It's how you optimize your website, your postings, anything like that to come out on top. So Google has a page called Google Business, and you can, type this in on Google. You can put your church details in there. You can put your church on the Google map so that people can find you easier. Most importantly, you can put your website in there. So when churches search up your name, they can see your location, they can see your website, and they can see valuable things about your church. And that ties into having a bigger web presence so that when people search you in on YouTube, when people search you in on Facebook, when people search you in on Google, you're at the top. They're easily able to find you. And that goes into the optimization of how you enter in the tags on Facebook, YouTube, and all your videos, and what content you have in the description of your videos, what the title of your video is named. You want to use hot keyword terms like Sunday morning service, a resurrection, church, your city name, your district name. You want to put those in your description, whether that's in your description saying Sunday morning service at New Covenant Church of God in Plainfield, New Jersey, having the whole name in there, because this is what the search engine picks up, these little name and keywords to make sure that you're at the top. Going down my list here. Yeah, so, and then in Google Business, you can put your website, you can put your social media platform so that people can easily find you. And I think that's super important when it ties into trying to make sure after this we're on top, making sure we optimize our resources online to come out ahead. Then going down the list, I wanted to talk about social media as a larger whole. We have tons of platforms. Like I said before, we know exactly where people are looking. Everyone is looking online. Everyone is their eyes are on social media, and we can guarantee that because everyone is home. So it's important, super important to have this presence on these platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Even if you don't use them, it is super important to have them, right? Just to in front of people's eyes with all the information there. Um, uh, this helps your algorithm. This helps your search engine optimization so that you can come out top. Make sure that you have a Facebook page. I know a lot of churches already do, so I'm assuming that everyone does, but make sure that it's not a Your organization is not an individual. I see that sometimes where it's like at a church as a friend, or I got a friend request from a church. It doesn't make sense. Make sure that you as an individual make a Facebook page. It's different from an individual account. It's a business, a branding account, so that you can have followers. You can engage people like this one, right? This page that we're on right now, the New Jersey um, Church of God. It's optimized so that people can find information about you easily. Um, and this ties into the algorithm. And then going into content creation, a lot of people struggle when it comes to content creation. You need to be posting, every day. You need to be posting. You need to have a post for every single day of the week when it comes to social media and your branding, whether that's on Facebook, Twitter, um, Instagram, or TikTok, right? You need to have engaging content so that people know that you're there. People are involved in your community. And a lot of people struggle when it comes to making content. I wanted to indicate on the iPhone, I know a lot of people have iPhones. If you go through the App Store, you can find tons of free social media quote creation apps, content creation apps. Literally, that's what you have to search in the App Store, right? Social media content creation, a post generator, things like that. And you'll get a plethora of free applications on the phone to get that done, right? It's super, super easy to post content every single day. Um, I know Mark is going to talk about teams, but briefly, your church members, they're at home. You know, your usher ministry is not operational right now. Your uh, deacons are not operational right now because they're not in the building. But since we're all converting to online resources, get them involved there. But Brother Mark is going to talk about that. Um, but then after that, I wanted to talk about, so generally make sure that you have a social media presence, whether that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media platforms. Make sure that you're posting every day. Once you're posting every day, your algorithm ranking goes up. People are able to share your post more. People are able to gravitate towards your page. Facebook will put it in front of more faces because that's how the algorithm works. If you're not aware, all these social media platforms, they work off of their own individual algorithms, the way that they put you in front of people. Your when you log onto Facebook, when you log onto Instagram, the posts are not in chronological order, right? And you don't see everyone's post because they're doing intelligent algorithms to see what people are interested in, what people engage with. So ensuring that you pop up on people's platforms is being in front of them. Um, uh, at least one good quality post every single day. At New Covenant, we do um, uh, daily songs of the day, right? Every single day, at least one person on our team will post a song of the day or an encouragement or a quote of the day so that people can engage with, so that when we do our live streams, when we do all of our other content, we're guaranteed to be in front of their faces because when an individual likes a post on your page, Facebook thinks and says, oh, this person really likes this church. Maybe we should show them more content of this church. So it's super important to be posting quality content over and over every single day, or have a person in your church doing that. Then I really wanted to focus on, because I left the last 15 minutes or so to talk about live streaming, because it's a big, big thing, right? Live streaming is super huge. We're all live streaming. We're all doing broadcasting online. And that is the single-handedly biggest way to interact with your church audience. Saying this might seem confusing to some, but the best piece of advice that I can give a church when it comes to live streaming your services is to not live stream. Let me explain. The way this works is this feature called Premiere, right? It is a function on YouTube. It is a function on Facebook where you can upload a pre-recorded service and then it appears as if it's live, or it gives the functionality of live. What does this tell you? This tells you going live is less about actually being live and more about watching it with other people, right? Being live is not about being live per se. That you don't have to be on that stage right then and there. It's about the engagement of people, 2 or 3 gathered, right? So it is not necessary to be live. There's a feature on Facebook and YouTube called Premiere. Search it up. Not everybody will have that functionality. I believe it's tiered depending on how many followers you have on YouTube, on Facebook, but just verify that you have this functionality. I highly, highly, highly suggest pre-recording your services. That's what we do here at New Covenant. And that might be a shocker to some, but it is an industry practice through this Premiere function. Premiere function allows you to upload a pre-recorded video, set a date and time when that video goes live, and then on the premiere of the video, everyone gets to join in and watch it as if it's live, right? Um, it's industry practice, like I've said. I have a bunch of friends who I have a friend who's an editor for the Methodist Church of God, I believe, and he does their worldwide services every single Sunday. They pre-record. Um, I have friends who work at churches in New Brunswick, scattered uh, other denominations. They pre-record services because the reason why you'd pre-record, the biggest reason why you'd pre-record is quality, right? It's ensuring quality. Um, no longer will you have problems with your live stream where things are jittering, people can't see you, etc., because it's pre-recorded. All the rendering is happening on Facebook servers, on YouTube servers. So you don't have to have the best internet connection. You don't have to have the the most stable internet connection because it's pre-planned, pre-recorded. Um, we here at New Covenant, tomorrow I'm going to film my mom's sermon because she's preaching this upcoming Sunday. We already have the worship team recorded, their segment recorded. We already have the announcements recorded. And what I do, I go to a editing platform like Final Cut Pro is what I use. There's also free ones, right? You don't have to be a professional to edit. People always think that on the iPhone, again, there's editing softwares that are literally just drag and drop for different segments. Um, uh, all I do, I edit the services and then I make sure I can ensure quality. That's the best thing about it, right? Um, if you go to uh, the New Covenant Church of God page and you go back 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, our third service back was the only service that we did within COVID-19 that was live streamed. And when you look at that service, you'll see the quality is not as good. There's a lot of awkward pauses because people have to rush up onto the stage and get into position. There's things like that that you'd see in a normal service, right? But when you pre-record your service, you can ensure quality, right? You can ensure that your transitions are perfect. You can ensure that um, people are lit correctly, people are in front of the stage correctly, people sound good because you're taking this into the editing studio. You can ensure the quality. You can 100% guarantee because you can watch it before it goes live and ensure that it's clean. um, you'll get the full HD picture because it is pre-recorded. Um, uh, because again, you're not streaming. Facebook and YouTube is processing this, and then people are watching, and it's going to look as if it's live, or it's going to show that little premiere tag that it is live. Uh, and the quality will be much better. You can ensure that everyone is there on time. Um, and lastly, the biggest reason why I'd advocate for pre-recording your services throughout the week, ensuring that everything's edited and processed correctly, is evangelism, right? Uh, every single church is online. Every single church is online right now, or Most, if not all, of the churches are online. Everybody is competing for people's attention, but ensuring that you have that next level of quality, ensuring that you have um, the next level of audio synced to your video, or processed camera angles, anything like that, or graphics or animations that you can put in the editing studio, ensuring that you have those items in there can give you an edge or an advantage. And I hate to talk about edges or advantages when it comes to church, but to the world, that's what they see, right? You're not, it's not anything that's more so sanctified or holy. To the people of the world, they're picking whatever gets their attention. They're picking whatever piques their interest. And from an evangelism perspective, making sure that your services are of the utmost quality, whether that means pre-recording, is super, super, super important. Sorry, I just keep looking at my time just to make sure. So yeah, in that aspect, I really, really advocate that you pre-record your services. Um, then, kind of like what Phil is about to talk about, you want to make sure that you have your audio and your lighting correct. You want to make sure that your face is evenly lit when it comes to these things. Right now, you're watching me in a super, super dark auditorium, but I have lights that are focused on my face. So my entire face is lit, right? There's no dark spots. If I turn any direction, there's no dark spots at all. My entire body is lit. You want to make sure that, your environment, you want to be very, very mindful of those things. But Phil is going to go into those topics soon. Obviously, pre-recording isn't the best for every single scenario, right? Um, any type of weekly services where you want to engage with your audience, or you want to have one-on-one conversations with the people in the chat room, obviously you're going to have to actually go live. We do that at our church. During the week, we have the Wednesday night Bible study, and that is done at my parents' house. Again, in an environment that's really well lit, where the entire face is visible. Um, and we go live, and we're able to answer questions, things like that. But when it comes to the Sunday morning service, we make sure that we prepare in the week, in the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and we post online with quality. We post it on Saturday, and then we tell it to go live on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And I saw a couple of the New Jersey churches doing that recently, like Mount Bethel, and their quality. There's no pauses. Every transition is perfect. There's no wait time, because that wait time that we as church folks usually have to walk up on the stage, pause for a little, wait for the person to turn on their mic. First off, that shouldn't even exist in the real church world, right? Because you should have implemented a long time ago to have people standing on standby on the stage, ready to take the mic for the next person, right? But for when it comes to an online audience, that pause, with the attention span of people, that pause is really long. So, pre-recording can help that as well. I'm not going to cheap it out for you. It does take a long time. That's why I say start on Tuesday. Get everything in order. Get all your people in order before going live. Because for me, this last Easter Sunday, I woke up at 5 a.m. I started recording. I started editing for an hour. Went back to sleep at 6. Woke up at 10. Started editing at 11, and then I got in my bed at 6 a.m. the next morning. On average, from what I talked to other people in the church industry about, it takes about 14 hours to edit a full-length live stream church service at the scale that we do at this moment. 14 hours on average. So it's important to have that lead time, right? Because it is a lot if you're doing the quality steps. But at the same time, right, I don't mean to scare you. It could be really simple depending on what you do at your church. whether that's if your church service is just your pastor up front talking, and that's your only segment, editing could be take a couple minutes for you. But to ensure that you have lower thirds at the bottom to introduce the name of the speaker, or if you have announcements, depending on the complexity, that can range from 0 to 14 hours, what I spend. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're prepared. You want to make sure that you start early and get that done. Last thing I want to talk about is engagement or social media currency. The best tool that we can use is making sure that your church members are still sharing your content, making sure to get that point across to ask your members to click on that share button on, and it's on all the social media platforms. You want to make sure that you're still evangelizing because, like I said before, we know where everyone's eyes are. Everyone is looking on social media, right? So to make sure that your church members are sharing with their friends, are sending it to others, that is so simple now, right? It's not as awkward as making conversation at work trying to get someone to come to your church. It's as easy as clicking on the link. So it is super, super important to make sure you advocate to your church members to start watch parties on Facebook, things like that, to post content. Um, uh, you know, because that all ties into something called social media currency. When people online, when people on Facebook see that other people are watching your stream, they're more likely to stay, right? When people online are seeing that people are commenting, it validates you, right? To say, oh, these people are cool. They have people, others watching. There's an audience. What's going on over here, right? If you're outside and you saw everybody gathering at the park, you're gonna look. You're gonna try and see what's going on over there, right? But if you saw someone alone, you know, talking or doing their own thing without an audience, you're gonna walk right past. So social media currency is essentially that concept, but online, right? You want to make sure that uh, let your church members know exactly when you're going live, exactly what you're doing, and that really means a valuable context of that. Last tip or suggestion that I have for churches is to get others engaged in the church service. Like I said, when you pre-record, you can add whatever you want in there to ensure quality. You can add snippets. So, like as you've seen, if you've seen any of the services that I've been doing, uh, we ask our church members to take short snippets, short videos, right? We ask our church members to get engaged in the sermon or the service, um, adding selections like scripture readings from X person at home, right? We can add those into the services. And that is part of social media currency, like I was just talking about before. Having other faces showing that you have church members all over the city from different nationalities, from different races, gives you that currency to say, oh, we have XYZ members. So when a non-believer looks and sees, and they see their face, they see their nationality, they see someone that looks like them, it's a no-brainer. They're already engaged, right? So having that other aspect of um, social media currency or face visibility or thing like that really plays a big role. So again, just wrapping things up. I only have 2 minutes here. I'm seeing from the 30. Um, just make sure that you have a solid social media presence. And by presence, I know that's a big word to encompass a lot of things. That basically comes down to posting quality content on a consistent basis. That right there is a perfect definition for social media presence. Whether that's your live stream, pre-record as much as you can to make sure that quality is good. Um, when you have live streaming, Make sure that your internet connection is good, your source is safe, so that you have the audio and the lighting, or anything correct. Make sure that you're posting quality content as often as possible, whether that's inspirational quotes, whether that's songs of the day, et cetera, et cetera. Um, then when it comes to a live streaming, because now really that's the face of your church, live streaming these days, you want to make sure that's as quality as possible, because again, um, we want to engage our church members, right? To show our church members that we're still a family, even during these COVID-19 times. Um, uh, but at the same time, we want to make sure the primary mission is that we're spreading the gospel. And when all eyes are online, you want to make sure that the quality of your service, the quality of your live stream is on par. Last thing, I'm running out of time here, but last thing. Again, like I said, this too shall pass, right? Uh, COVID-19 will end, and you want to make sure that you are on top when this ends, right? You want to make sure that you've built your infrastructure to, oh, there's the timer. you, you want to make sure that you built your infrastructure accordingly, so that when this ends, you end up, your church infrastructure, your online infrastructure is strong. Because, you know, this is going to change the world, right? Like 9/11, we became, after 9/11, we became more secure. We became, as a society, less trusting. After COVID-19, like the president has said, like Dr. Fauci has said, this is not going to be a wake up the next morning, everybody can go out, everybody's back in church, the church is packed, right? It's, frankly, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be a gradual move back into the swing of things. So even after this, or even after the shutdowns, we still want to make sure that our infrastructure is set. So if there was any time to invest in your social media presence, in your live streaming equipment, now would be the time. Because even after this, people are still going to be cautious, and you want to make sure that your presence online is 100%. And that's the end of my time. Thank you all, and appreciate you. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, brother Mike. That was a wealth of knowledge right there. I really appreciate you taking your time out this evening to do so, especially with all the hours that you have up and coming with the editing. It definitely sheds light to all the components to really successfully show your presence as a ministry on the World Wide Web. And as stated, what Mike said, you can hear there's a lot of components to it. And that's why it's important to have a team. And that's why I invited my brother Mark Sparks to join us for to discuss that. Brother Mark, this part I apologize for not telling him this earlier, but I'll share it with everyone right now. Don't worry about it, brother Mark. But this whole thing came about because in MIP recently we had a conversation about web and social media, and I was the one to initiate that conversation or to lead it after Bishop Anderson had asked me to. And there were a few people that I always go back to just to kind of make sure that I understand what's happening. And one of those people is Brother Mark Sparks and his team at Mount Olive Church of God in Cleveland, Tennessee, because they are always doing phenomenal things out there with their posts, their pictures, their videos. It's always a wonderful time. And even with me not being there in Tennessee, I still feel as if I'm a part and I'm connected because of that. So, Brother Mark, please, if you don't mind, please talk to us about how we get this all together. How do we create that team to really take our ministry to the next level with web and social media?
Awesome, man. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. It's so exciting to be here. And I want to thank good Bishop Phil to bring me in. And anytime we get together, man, once again, he is it's always a riot. We always have a great time, and he's also served our church extremely well, and as always has a place in our hearts, and always has a home whenever he comes down. So whenever you want to come down and hang out with us again, man, go ahead and come on down. And then also, man, Mike, I was taking notes, bro. That's so good, and there was so much stuff. You could have just kept going. I would have given some of my time to you, because I don't feel like I'm an expert as in any of these areas necessarily. I think I'm a lot like a lot of these pastors out here who have been given a situation like COVID-19, like this coronavirus deal, and we had to stop and say, okay, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean? How do we do this? And luckily, we already had a team that was active and that was functioning and that was working, and our social media team consists of a social media director, and then we have we actually have 5 students that are involved in that, and they do a phenomenal job of just talking and discussing together ideas of what to do, and then bringing that to me and bringing it out there. But let me just say a couple things first as we get forward, is that once again, man, this whole situation that's going on puts a lot of us, especially at smaller churches, whatever, outside of our comfort zone. And I want to say that it's okay to exist outside your comfort zone. And it's okay to feel like you might not be doing the right thing, or might doing something cool, because a lot of times the first thing we do when we click on Facebook, we click on our social media, is that we see Stephen Furtick, or we see some of these great visual things, and we see ours, and it's grainy, and it has its hiccups, and we mess up, whatever. But don't quit. I think Mike brought up a great point, and one of my main points is that consistency is so important. To be consistent, to put stuff out all the time, so that people feel like you are putting forth the effort. Like, I really care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so when you're speaking into their life, when you're constantly saying, you know what, our church didn't give up. Our church isn't just sitting at home eating bonbons and watching Netflix. You know what I mean? We're actually going out, and we're going to find every which way possible to connect with our students. I want to find ways that I can even look face to face with them. If it's Zoom calls, if it's house party, I'm going to give you a little secret. I do not like Zoom calls. They're hard to handle when you have like 30 people out here, and some of them are talking, and one forgot to mute their mic, and the other one's over here doing weird things. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen. It's outside of our comfort zone, but it's okay right now, because we're all outside of our comfort zone. We're all doing things that we're not necessarily used to be doing. But when they see you putting forth the effort, when they see you trying, when they see you constantly reaching out, they're going to appreciate it. They'd be crazy not to, because you are out there and they care about you. They don't care about how pretty you look, even though it's very important and we need all the lighting, all that stuff. But as long as don't quit just because you might have messed up the first time. Don't quit. Keep going, keep trying. And then my big thing here is that don't do it alone, y'all. Sometimes we're just like, well, nobody cares. We're just out here. And so you're out here trying to do a TikTok, and you're up here just doing, you know what I mean? Trying to do the renegade and all this stuff. And you don't know how to do the renegade. You know what I mean? You don't know how to do all these things, but you get a team out there of students who are on there all the time. You get a team out there of young people who are out there navigating the waters, who are actually doing the things, and say, hey, I want to empower you, because there's probably never been a time in history where this generation has been more empowered and has the skill and the talent to actually take the driver's seat in the church. Wow, holy cow, are you kidding me right now? Now is the time for them to say, you know what, I have a place. We always say that. We've always said that, man, youth have a place in this church. Now they do. Now we're relying on youth to actually lead us in this area that we've never actually been in before. And so I had to figure out in humility that I don't know what's going on. I don't know what TikTok is. And this is the first time a social media platform. I was on MySpace, I was on Facebook, I was on Instagram, and now it's TikTok. And I'm like, I don't dance. I don't know. Is this just people dancing? Like, I don't know what to do. But we find people, and I have a social media director who's like, okay, this is what's popular right now. This is what you do. And they explain it, and we do something funny, and it works. But in doing that, you have to develop a team around you, so you're not by yourself. So you're not trying to do it alone, especially if you don't have the skills and the know-how and the knowledge to navigate this environment. You know what I mean? So there's people out there, like Michael said, there's people in your church right now who know more about this than you do. So find those people, empower those people, and for me, it was finding a leader who was passionate about social media, who enjoyed it, but also had discernment. That's a big one. Have discernment. Don't just have somebody that's out there just wants to be funny all the time. You know what I mean? But also has a discernment to know that maybe this could hurt my church if I put out the wrong thing, if I put out the wrong, if there's some bad content in this video that they want me to do or whatever. You have to make sure that you are putting out good material, but also having discernment and having the ability to do the right thing at the right time. And then also for me, it's a balance of doing spiritual things and doing funny things, because here's the thing about it. I go on Facebook all the time. There's people out there who are just given devotion after devotion after devotion. Mix it up a little bit, man. For me, what I like to think of it is as I'm putting out there a buffet of things. I have our leaders. I empower all of our leaders. Please submit at least once every 2 weeks, submit to me a written or a video devotion. You know what I mean? That you can actually go and they can post on our social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on our TikTok, and all these different things. Do that. If you guys have something funny that you want to do it. Submit it to me and we'll see how that works. But then also having parents at the home. We have some parents that are jumping in and being a part of it. And that's the thing, that's a big win for me, is a lot of times we just think that we're just trying to reach our kids, but we have actually parents that are sit down with their family, they bring their families together and watch our live stream, watch our videos, watch our funny stuff. You know what I mean? They laugh with their kids. And so you don't have necessarily, it doesn't all just have to be, I have to have the best devotions today. Sometimes they just want you to sit around your living room or your kitchen with your kids. I do the little section quarantine kitchen, man. What am I cooking today? Where I have like ramen noodles and Cincinnati Skyline chili. You know what I mean? Add some cheese to it. You know, making something that's going to mess up my stomach, but it's going to be funny. You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying different things. We're going out here and we're swinging. And sometimes, here's the thing about it: you also have to give yourself the leeway and the grace for it to flop once, you know what I mean? For it not to be great, but you're out there trying and you're working. And there's also, find the people that have those strengths. If you're not funny, that's fine. Find funny people in your church and let them do it. If you're not super spiritual, find some super spiritual people in your church and let them do something. We have some prayer warriors in our church. We have them going on there and praying for people and everything. Find the people, find their superpower, find their strength, and empower them in their area of strength to do something. Because if you find that, and they're able to do it, they will do it for free, and they'll do it a long time, and they'll want to be a part of your ministry, and they'll want to be a part of everything that you're doing, because they're finding ways to express their gifts in a different platform. And right now, honestly, I think it's a time where we can be scared, but it's also a time where you can find warriors, where you can find people in your church who've been waiting for an opportunity, who've been sitting around saying, God, what's my time? Who've been looking for their destiny. And right now, here it is. You have an opportunity to give that to them. And so empower those people, find those people on there. For us, a couple things that we do in that, we do have, like I said, I try to scale it and do an even amount of devotion and spiritual time, prayer. I also try to do our funny stuff. It's not always funny. You know, sometimes something I think is funny does not click with everybody else. You know what I mean? Sometimes they look at that like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Okay, well, we tried that today. We'll try something different tomorrow. We won't do that again. Some stuff that we do, that we have done has worked, and we continue to do that week after week. So find the stuff that works, find the stuff that hits, and continue on with that. The stuff that doesn't work, don't lose sleep over it. Be like, all right, that didn't work. Throw it out and then try something new the next day. But don't be discouraged by it, because once again, consistency is important. Not just necessarily everything happening all at once, but if people don't jump in all at once, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged just because you only have 1 or 2 people on your live stream the first time. Just you have 3 or 4 people on your Zoom. You know what I mean? As when people start talking, they say, man, you need to get on here, because you're not going to be the one to necessarily be the one that brings people to it. Other people are going to say, man, you need to check it out. You need to get on here. Allow other people to do the marketing for you. But that comes with consistency. That comes with investment. And that comes sometimes with getting some leaders in your church to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is who we're trying to reach. Can you help me by logging in, by telling other people about it, by if we post something, will you share it so that other people can see it, so get a part of that algorithm that Mike was talking about? I don't understand that. But what I do understand is this: the more people share it, the more people see it. You know what I mean? And so you don't necessarily have to be an expert in it, but do it. and then get people alongside you, build your team. And here's the thing about it, pastors, people are rooting for you. Man, can I just tell you that? I feel that in my spirit right now. People are rooting for you. They want you to succeed. Your church wants you to succeed. They don't want to see their church not exist after this. So tell them what you need. Tell them what you want. Tell them what you need. So in social media wise, if little sister Betty is on the pew every week and she can't come, but she's on, she's on Facebook every day, y'all. She's on Facebook every day. Come on, and Sister Betty, you call her up, say, hey, Sister Betty, every time I do this, can you just please share this? Can you please just, because she's talking to a lot of people. You know what I mean? And so utilize, the person that you might not even know might be your biggest connector because she always up on that Facebook. You know what I mean? So come on and be a part of that and engage people and don't discriminate just because they're not young. You don't know what their talents are. They might have a big following. I got a lady right now who's on social media, who's on Facebook, and she reaches everybody. And Facebook is not for my students. A lot of times Facebook is for my parents, for our parents can see what we're doing. So they know if I'm only doing stuff on Instagram, if I'm only doing stuff on TikTok, if I'm only doing stuff on Snapchat, if I'm only doing all these things that they're afraid of getting on, they're like, well, what's that youth pastor doing over there? So I try to engage parents through Facebook. I try to engage students through Instagram, social media, through Instagram and Snapchat, and try to get them all working together so that we're hitting every demographic. We're hitting parents, we're hitting students, we're hitting our leaders, and they're all participating as well. And then be creative with it. You don't always just have to do, like I said before, you don't always have to do devotion. We've been doing some girls' nights with our Zoom or house parties where there's all the girls get together with their leader, and they just they talk. We do for our Facebook and our Instagram, during this time where we post every day, like, what do we post? I've been spotlighting seniors recently and letting them kind of showing all their accomplishments, some of their videos, some of their things. And we do that once a week. So that, like, every Friday we we show our seniors, we recognize our leaders in our church. So we've been going and all the leaders from my youth ministry. I have about 30 people that help me out in youth ministry. It's a lot, I know, but just being able to share and get them apart and giving them some screen time is really great for them, to empower them. We do throwbacks to old events and a lot of different things like that. So just be creative in how you bring people together. It doesn't always just have to be the way you do it. And then also look around at what other people are doing and what's working for other people. Just because you didn't come up with it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You know what I mean? And don't be so prideful that, like, well, that person's doing it, but I don't want to be like everybody else. I just got to do my own thing. Find what works and do it, because those things, what's reaching other people, that's what's reaching the people right now, is what's hitting and what's big. Be creative and just be creative. That's all I'm saying. And if you're not that creative, find people that are creative. Find people that can think outside the box. Find those people. I realized I was just doing a lot of our devotions for our Wednesday night services for our youth at the church, and I've had the light, and I just devotion like 5-7 minutes, and then I've been trying now recently to go and do a devotion or a service in a pastor's home. So I've been going to our different pastors' homes and trying to do a little thing where we walk in, like I'm actually entering into their house. We sit down with their wives and we cook a little meal or something. We cook a little, like last week we made with Pastor Russell Hall. We met Cindy in the kitchen. She was making cookies, and then we went to the living room, and that's where our worship leader was doing worship. And then we panned over to him doing the devotion on his couch. And we went back out afterwards and sat down on the porch and ate the cookies that she was making in the beginning of the thing. You know what I mean? And so we try to make it a home atmosphere where people feel like, the comfort of somebody's home and everything. And so instead of just doing a standard regular, what I've been doing for Wednesday nights, it just got old and stale for me. So I was like, how do I make this better? What can I do? And so it was Russell Hall, so we called it Home for the Holidays. So stupid, I'm sorry. But, we just we just out there swinging, trying to make it happen, trying to make things work. And so we try to connect with them spiritually. We try to connect with them relationally. And then we also try to create ways where they can reach back and connect with us too, where that's having them make collages where they're holding up signs with words on it. Then we put the pictures together to make a sentence or anything. How can I make I get our students involved? How can I get our students into what we do so that they feel like they're contributing as well? It's not just a one-way street where I'm just constantly feeding them content, but what can we do to get them involved as well? We do trivia contests where the winner of the trivia contest, I bring a pizza to their house, like a pizza delivery guy. It's a me, a Mario, give them pizza and everything, to try to be as safe as possible. But also just, if the church isn't going down, but I will not let my ministry go down by itself. I'm going to go out and if the boat's sinking, we're going to be out there trying to get all the water out. Like he said, like I don't want just to not sink. I want to thrive, and I want to go out of this, like Mike was saying, I want to go out of this on top, knowing that our social media is on point, that we're doing a great job, and that people feel like they're part of the family, like they feel like they're connected. Because for me, that's kind of our mission for our youth ministry is, making people feel like they're a part, making people feel like they're home. You know what I mean? And so that's really for us some of the main things that we focus on. But don't be afraid to release these things to your people. Don't be afraid to release this whole TikTok world or whatever. I have students come up with the fun stuff. I don't try to come up with fun stuff because I would look ridiculous. I'm 38 and single and overweight. You know what I mean? And so like for me, if I get up there and try to do some dances, like I'm gonna look weird. But if you get students that come up with it, they're gonna be able to, come up with some fun stuff and everything. And then lastly for me is what do you really enjoy? What do you find comfort in? What do you find enjoyment in? And highlight that. Don't be afraid to, step into these areas where you could feel like you can be a part of showing some of your interests, some of your passions, because ultimately, here's the thing about it, man, is that people want to know, people don't just want what you have to offer. They want to be a part of your life. They want to know how you're doing. You know what I mean? They want you to pray with them. They want to see what you do during your downtime, during your off time. This is an opportunity like no other for you to let people into your home. And I think sometimes that's the hardest thing for a pastor, is to break down those walls. But I think right now what God's calling us to do in this time of social distancing is for us as a church, as a congregation, to come together in ways that we never have before. So bring them into your home, show them what it's like, with the wife and the kids. Show them what you guys do on a nightly basis. Don't be afraid to bring them into your house and let them be a part and engage in your life, because they want to. The people want to do that. And so that's really for us. That's how it started. We had a social media team and it was doing pretty good and we were doing great. But then when all this stuff hit, we cranked into overtime. And here's the thing about it, man. I think Mike probably feels this way too. Phil probably feels this way too. People think that we're just sitting at the house. Man, I'm busier than I've ever been. You know what I mean? I am trying to do things I've never done before. I'm trying to think. I'm sitting here thinking about things. And here's the other thing too that I was going to mention, I didn't mention before, is that don't feel like when I say don't do it alone, don't just think about your congregation. I've got people from other youth groups and other churches that I collaborate with. We do videos. I do videos with my buddy over at North Cleveland, do videos with some other people in town. But we come together as two youth pastors. We talk when we had two cameras going, we had two youth groups going at the same time, you know what I mean? And engaging in that way. And we kind of combined our teams and we were able to come up with some funny content, some good content. But if you don't have it at your church, because I know some of you guys are sitting there at churches that are, 25, 50, 100 or whatever, you say, I don't have a team. I don't have people that I can put in that area. Try to find somebody from your church, but then also don't be afraid to collaborate and ask the person across town from you, hey, what are you guys doing? Hey, do you have somebody that can come and help you video? You know what I mean? That's probably one of the number one things is, I got my iPhone over here, shaking, but there's probably somebody out there. Churches right now want to help each other. They don't want to see you drown either, because the best, a town with several churches operating in strength is a strong town. You don't want to be the only game in town. You know what I mean? And they don't want you to be the only game in town. You don't want them to be the only game in town. You guys want to work together. And I guarantee you there's people right now in your churches. I can already tell by the spirit of Phil and Mike here that they're going to help you. If you have a question, if you need help, they're going to help you. If you have a question, call them up and they're going to help you. They can, I'm not telling you, but they can probably send somebody to help you out if you want to show you a tutorial on how to set up, where to set up, what angles to set up, where to be in your church when you set up, when you do a talk, whatever. I've seen other people do this, but I don't know how to do this. Call somebody, find somebody. Don't just sit back and say, well, I'm all by myself, because that's the tool of the enemy. I'm preaching, I shouldn't do this. But that's the enemy wants you to say, man, I'm by myself, so I shouldn't even try this. When really, this is a new frontier. You know what I mean? And we're out here with machetes, just hacking out the land, just trying to do what works. But when it works, man, your people are going to see beyond the glitz, the glamour. They're going to see you out there reaching your people as well as you can. And so for me, as far as teams goes, find that right person, find the person that's passionate about it, find the person that has the discernment for it. And it doesn't just have to be one person. That person develops a team that has people around them that come up with ideas, that have youth, we have basketball players, we have sports players, we also have band people, we have people from all different places in life, all different groups. We have parents that help out a lot with everything. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to give over the reins to somebody else and to do the things that you're not comfortable with doing, and allow them to be the ones to generate the content, to generate. And you might find a whole new generation of people in your church that step up that you didn't even know was there, that are going to be warriors for you, that are going to let you charge into the next station in life and station in ministry. That's going to be amazing. And this is the frontier. We're here, and we don't know how long it's going to last. So go out there and do what you can. And if you need help, if I can help you out, man, I'm not an expert like some of these other guys, but man, for me, it's just about passion. It's about putting your heart out there. Last week I drove what was that? A tub with some wheels attached to the bottom into a big bunch of boxes and went everywhere, you know what I mean? And it was crazy, whatever. But, we had a bunch of people, we had about 250 comments on it, and there's people watching. And I came in the next day, and my maintenance guy said, man, I grabbed my kids around, and we all sat around and watched that thing. Man, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen anybody do. And I was like, yeah. But, for me, that's just a vehicle. That's just a tool, you know what I mean? And for me, I can be funny. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of things I can do, but I can be weird. I can be funny. You know what I mean? And I can bring people in, they can watch it. But, that's not, for me, that's not the end all. That just to be funny is not the thing. It's how do I engage and bring people around the computer, bring around their screen, so that they can say, man, this is what we're doing together. We're still part of a community. We're still part of a team. We're still part of a family. Our church family hasn't left us. They haven't forgotten us. They're still putting out stuff there. No matter what. And you guys can be successful, man. No matter what happens, we're going to be successful because God's on the throne and he's not shaken and he can't be moved. I don't know how much time I have left, but that's about all I have, Phil. Thank you so much for having me. If there's any questions, feel free to let me know, man.
Thank you so much, Brother Mark, man. We really appreciate it. As y'all can tell, this man is always hot and ready to tell the word of God. He said, let me not preach right now. Always ready to. So if you need his information for y'all's youth service up and coming after COVID-19, go ahead, give me a holler. I'll give you his information. Glory be to God. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for talking to us about how to get that team together, and also reminding us that God is on the throne. This too, Michael said it earlier, this too shall pass. What we can do right now is maximize the time and recognize the opportunity we have with web and social media, and create these teams and make actions take place right here, right now for our ministries. Because once this is all said and done, the world has changed, and it will continue to change and go towards these platforms. So it's important for us to be prepared for that so we can take action. And that's what I'm about to talk about right now, is what we can do right here, right now. Again, thank you, Brother Mark. Thank you, Brother Mike, for the wealth of knowledge that has been shared. So now with me, I'm just I know this is a discipleship training hour, but we're gonna have a little overtime to talk about what we can do now. And the biggest thing we have to recognize with that is packaging. Because now I was going to put this hat on earlier. That's clearly a few two sizes too small for my head and a little too shiny for anything for y'all to recognize a little something. And that's packaging. Now, I just had a conversation with Bishop Birch earlier this day, and I thank you, Bishop, for joining us on this call. I saw you on the live feed for a little while. He wanted to greet everyone, but he's being a bishop. There are things that he has to do, and there are things that I have to do, which is why I am here, so he can take care of all the other things that have to take place here in the great state of New Jersey. But one of the things that we talked about, and the thing that he really wanted everyone to understand, is the importance of packaging. Now, see, everything that you see behind me has been intentional, because people listen with their eyes. Now, I can say that for certain because so many of y'all are so distracted by this shiny hat right now that you ain't listening to a word I'm saying. You probably forgot some of the stuff that Brother Mark just done talked about, and I apologize, man. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm just trying to prove a point. People listen with their eyes. And that's why we're going to talk about the things that are important with that. So the first thing when it comes to the visuals is understanding who your audience is. I intentionally have this shirt on. I have this Alpha Omega t-shirt. The background says family. There are all these books. I'm in my father's office right now. There's the prayer line with a little phone beside me, so on and so forth, because I knew who I was talking to. We are having a discipleship training hour with a lot of leaders that interact in web and social media. So if I came up here in a three-piece suit, probably would not have come across as well. Same reason why Brother Mike and Brother Mark didn't do that. Everything you do, especially when it comes to web and social media, has to be intentional at all times, because you are representing someone and or something at all times. So if I wore a Nike shirt right now, y'all would be thinking about Nike. I don't want y'all to think about Nike. I want y'all to think about Alpha Omega. Issa was just yesterday. So that's why I wore this t-shirt. It was intentional, and it was done for a reason. The other thing that you have to think about with that is the fact that it is the World Wide Web, y'all. It is the World Wide Web. Now, pastors, I ain't gonna say anybody's names. I know I got some of my Mount Bethel people right now. I'm gonna do what Bishop Mongs had to say. He's like, I'm not even gonna look at anybody. I'm gonna close my eyes so that no one thinks I'm talking about them right now. Look, pastors, I saw some of y'all yesterday on social media, and like what Brother Mark and Mike had stated, keep going, keep doing it. I am so proud of each and every single one of y'all doing what you can, but you have to remember who you're talking to and what the platform is. Some of the messages that took place yesterday were not something that the world would be capable of acknowledging. We have to remember, this is very biblical. When we look at Christ, he did not speak to the Gentiles the same way he spoke to the Jews. There's a reason why the letters to Rome were different from the letters to Corinth. It was very specific and focused on those that were present. Now, I'm not saying you have to always keep it broad in general. There are times in which if you're going to talk to young adults, you got to talk to the young adults. If you're like from our First Haitian district, and a lot of the folk that you know are speaking Creole, then that has to be a part of it. But you have to remember who your audience is and make sure that you're marketing towards that audience. And I know marketing sounds like a very business term, but again, when we look at scripture, there's a reason why Christ was feeding people before he gave the message. Brother Mark had said it. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And the way you do that is by being intentional with every piece of viewing that any audience person can see in your videos. Now, to make your video to look a little bit better, there are a few things, especially when you're doing things at home, there are a few things that you can utilize, especially if you're an individual. There are a ton of webcams out there. I'm actually using one right now. It's called Logitech C920. Logitech is one of the better webcams. A lot of people across a number of platforms utilize it, especially those that are infamous for like gaming on YouTube and Twitch. It's something that you can just plug in. It has a USB input, once you plug it in, your computer picks it up and you call it a day. It makes things look cleaner. It makes things look a little bit better, especially when you have to go live stream. Like Brother Mike had talked about earlier, if you have to do this and you have to do it by yourself at home, whatever it may be, it's a real quick fix because it's 1080p and it's high definition. Now, I will let you know that if you want to invest in 4K or even 5K or anything else like that, that is okay, but it's not important. And the reason why is because most of the platforms that people utilize, and when I mean platforms, I mean devices. So your phone, your computer, your tablet, most people don't have that kind of quality anyway. For the most part, 1080p in HD is about as far as you need to go. And it will look crisp. And you will be able to send out your message the best way you possibly can. The other component is lighting. Now, in a perfect world, you would have lights at a 45-degree angle from wherever you are. You are the center. Those lights are at 45 degrees. Now, I kind of cheated a little bit, and I'm going to give you a little cheat code to it. And that is you can also put lighting behind your camera as long as it's wide enough and you already have lighting within the room to assist. The reason why you want it behind is because the camera is built like your eye. See, your eye, when you look at the sun, what happens? It squints, right? In the same light, and I'm going to show it to you in a second, if you put the camera in front of lighting or even a white background sometimes, it will make your video have less quality. And the reason why is because it is just too difficult for the camera to focus when there's so much light in front of it. And I'll show you an example as to why. Now, I gotta have to apologize publicly to Bishop Bonaparte if y'all see anything, because this ain't my office and there might be a few things in disarray. But again, there's a reason why what you can see right here in view is in view. But just to give you an idea, I'm gonna take the camera off real fast so you can look at the lighting right here. See, this is, the camera was right here on my computer and the light's right behind it. But you can even see right now, the quality of the picture is a little less because the camera can't focus on anything because the light is so much. It's doing the best it can to adapt and everything, but it's still not as good as when it was right here in front of me. It almost looks like night and day when you actually, when you imply it that way. So leaders, especially our pastors, if you're doing this from home, if you have a window beside you, that's probably your best form of lighting. If it's possible, put your camera in front of the window, meaning that your window's here, the camera's here, and then you're right here to maximize the lighting. If you don't have that option, the last thing you need to do is have the window behind you with all the light showing, because it's going to hurt the camera. You do have the option now to, of course, you can close blinds. That makes it easier. But make sure that the lighting's in the appropriate place, and the appropriate place is behind the camera. Now, what I'm using right now, as you can see, is just a regular lamp light. The cover for it is somewhere around here. I just took it off and called it a day. But that's to help maximize the light. Now, in a perfect world, you would have, like I stated earlier, you would have two lights, 45-degree angle facing you. You would have what is called a hair light, so that any other form of shadow would be hidden. But again, cheat code, if you have lights in your room, that is a hair light. Like, you can, thank God I have a bald head. You can see the hair light on my cranium right now, but it's not a light. Like, it's not like some fancy pants light. It's literally just the light that was built in this room that has a fan to it and everything. So we have a lot of these resources. We just have to maximize them as best we can. Now, the last thing to talk about with that is the actual audio. I recommend to get a microphone. Now, what I'm using right now is a Blue Yeti mic. It's this nice, beautiful contraption right here. It's about $100. Blue is one of the more profound platforms for webcamming when it comes to a microphone. There are other ones as well. And if you need any of this information, please be sure to send that to me. Please be sure to ask me and I'll send that to you. I apologize. But it helps the audio sound clean too. Because the other thing we have to realize is that a lot of folks, especially when they're home or really just anywhere, people are not always watching your video. They're just listening. We have headphones all the time. I know a lot of us, my mama does it every single Saturday. She throws on her gospel music and gets the cleaning and the cooking. Every once in a while, she'll put on a sermon on there. And I know for many of us, we do the exact same thing. We will put the live stream of our church or our ministry or of any ministry as we're still going about doing other things. So it's important that the audio is clear. So invest in that mic, invest in that webcam. I got this mic and this webcam all off of Amazon for under $200. And again, it's an investment into the ministry that you can utilize at all times. So with knowing your audience and with the what we're talking about with the packaging, you also have to recognize what your goal is. Brother Mike has stated before, their Wednesday night Bible studies are in the confines of his parents' home. It's intentional. When people see someone's home, it is by definition homey. It's more relational and more interactive. So then people can actually ask questions and discuss things and be open about it because they have that sense. So before you do anything on social media, especially when it comes to live stream, ask the question, what is your goal? If you're going to talk about the death of Jesus Christ that had taken place on Good Friday, it's not a good idea to wear a hat like this. It wouldn't fit the mold. In the same light, if you're wanting to not only reach your people in your ministry, but anyone else that they are friends with so that they can share the material, you have to make sure that you are actually speaking to those type of people. Brother Mike talked about this as well, evangelism. Brother Mark talked about this as well. Evangelism is a huge component to social media. And it's an opportunity that we have if we take advantage of the opportunity. Which will come to my next thing, which is to make sure you are directly in front of the camera. Again, I ain't going to say who it was or what I had seen, but pastors, just yesterday, I saw some of y'all talking over here when the camera was over here. Some of y'all were not center of the frame, so you can do what we like to call fill the frame. If you're a little off to the left, a little off to the right, that can cause a distraction for people. When you are talking, do the best you can to actually look directly into the camera. I know we all have notes and it's important to go back and look at them. You want to look at the screen to make sure everything is okay, so on and so forth. But especially when you really want to put a point in, look directly at the camera. Take your time and share the word of God. It's impactful. It will do great things. And it will allow people to really focus and hone in on what you're talking about. The second part of packaging is the consistency. Brother Mark talked about this. You have to be consistent with your presence. one of the biggest struggles that we have in our world today, especially for the younger generation, is that consistent human interaction. And we are taught from what we see on media how important consistency is. Because heaven knows that if you want to watch your show Thursday night at 8 p.m., guess what? It's going to be on Thursday night right at 8 p.m. But with each other, we don't do the same thing. With our interaction with the community, we don't do the same thing. It's important to consistently be in contact with people. And since we cannot do, especially now, since we cannot do that in person, you have to do that virtually. Make sure that you are posting at least once a day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can just say, hey, you know, I'm just sitting here reading the Bible. I looked at, you know, the book of Mark where God said Christ said the two greatest commandments, love God and to love people. And I just want to show y'all that I love you all so very much. You all know me. I love God dearly, but I just don't want y'all to forget that I love you too. And please share that love to someone else. Have a blessed day. Amen. That's it. You can just do that, short and sweet, 60 seconds or less, and it will make a difference in someone's life. But you have to be consistent with that difference, because there is someone out there that is waiting for you to do that each and every single day. And we know that Christ would leave the 99 for the one. So do what you can for that one. That's what we're doing right here. Now, the last thing I want to talk about and allude to is what, and again, Brother Mike had stated this, and that is doing things in advance. Live stream is not usually live, y'all. Y'all really think that Joel Osteen is preaching that sermon right there Sunday morning when you're looking at the television screen? There's a reason why the Steve Harvey show doesn't say that they're live. They said that it was produced in front of a live audience, but it's not live. There's a reason why the news makes sure that there's a little buffer between things are happening, because they don't know what someone might say or do while they're live. And we witness sometimes when they miss that as well. That's why it's so important to plan ahead. Look, especially pastors, y'all are seeking the face of God each and every single day, so then you can share what he has for your people. You know what God is wanting to tell your people. So if you're working on it on a Tuesday evening and God lays it in your heart that you're going to talk about family, you can do a quick message about that. You can prepare for that. You can package it, so then if you know you're going to be preaching about family on Sunday, maybe on Tuesday you do a video with your family. Maybe on Tuesday you prep a video with your family. Maybe on Wednesday you put the scripture that you're going to be using on Sunday, so then people can get excited and prepared for that message on family. Maybe during your Bible study, you can have a few questions that talk about family, so then people can get more excited about it. Maybe on Friday for youth, just like my man Brother Mark had done, do a little fun game in which you got cats rolling on something and running into a big pile of cardboard or whatever it may be, and make it a competition against family, so that everyone can get excited for that on Sunday. But prepare yourself as much as you can. Pre-record things as much as you can. Have conversations with as many people as you can. A lot of our leaders, again, y'all have kids that are students. They have phones just like you, and they're utilizing them every single day. They know what's interesting. They know what gets people engaged. Ask them the question. Ask them the question. And then last but not least, be true to yourself. Everyone has their own purpose in life. We know that from scripture. Ask God who your audience is meant to be, and then focus your messages on them. I am a millennial, as many folk like to tell me sometimes, because apparently I have those same characteristics. Me having a conversation with someone that is 65 and plus will be different from someone in their 50s. But I have to stay true to who I am, because if I try to, let's say, for example, as a youth pastor, try to not be the happy-go-lucky individual that I am and be more formal and pristine like my senior pastor, then the happy-go-lucky part of the ministry is gone. You have to realize that you're there for a reason. Your message is there for a purpose. So be who you are meant to be. Dr. Garmin talked to us about this. You have to know who you are. Self-reflection is important. Personal development is important. And then when you find out what your strengths are, double down on them. Because any of the weaknesses that you have, God has prepared the people that you need to help you and to walk alongside you in order to make those things take place. So remember to know your audience, to be consistent, and to be true to who you are. If you have any questions about the cam and the mic and the lighting, all the other fun stuff, if you have questions for Brother Mike or Brother Mark, please feel free to let us know. You can comment here on this live feed. You can send me an email at yd@newjerseycog.org. And let's do this thing together, y'all. We're all here together. At the end of the day, it's one kingdom, and that's the kingdom of God. And we want to take New Jersey Church of God to the next level, not just for the sake of it, but because that means we can do more for our community. We can do more for this state. We can do more for the country and beyond. So if you have any questions, if you have any more knowledge, please let me know as well. So then we can continue to have this conversation. We can continue to share and do what we can to make our ministries better. Thank you all so much for coming to this inaugural New Jersey Discipleship Training Hour. We'll be doing this again next month. Don't know what the topic of discussion is going to be. We're wanting to take a little bit more time to see what is happening with COVID-19, because we want to make sure that we are relevant to this time and hour in our society. But we will be doing this every month, once a month on a Monday. I know this is I believe this is the second or third Monday of the second Monday of the month, but that was in regards to Easter. So what we will be doing this again in the month of May at 7 p.m. Please do not forget that our very own Dr. Garmin is doing Leader Labs on Zoom for free. He has the recording from what had taken place yesterday, but you can also check him out on April 12th at 6 p.m. He's going to be talking about the 3 things that we need to ponder during this COVID-19 crisis with Pastor Tom Sturbins. We also will be having a house party for all of our students this Friday night at 7 p.m. We're going to be on Zoom and Facebook Live. We're going to have a good old time. We just want to connect with all of our students across the state of New Jersey, kick back, and just hang out, because like I said earlier, social distancing does not mean that we cannot be a community. So please tell your students, please tell your youth leaders, this Friday night, 7 p.m., we're going to be doing a house party on Facebook Live and on Zoom. through New Jersey Church of God. We'll be sharing more information in the coming days. And I want to thank again Brother Mike Colley and Brother Mark Sparks for all the information you shared with us tonight. Thank you, Bishop Birch and Pastor Lorna, for allowing the Youth and Discipleship team to have this opportunity to start this discipleship training hour that will be going on for the rest of the days of New Jersey Church of God. God bless you all. Be safe during this COVID-19 and have a wonderful evening.
A new day has come to us. Jesus reigns victorious. Darkness trembles at his holy light. And now entrusted with your truth, we are chasing after you, never looking back at what's behind. For our eyes have seen this beautiful thing called love. Lord, do not withhold, so we can behold your love. And here comes our King. He's leading justice to victory. He is the King, breaking the chains of our slavery. Lift your hearts and sing. For salvation he will bring. He has come to rescue us. He has come to rescue us. He has come to rescue us. Jesus the King. Oh, Jesus the King, my Lord. A new day has come to us. Jesus reigns victorious. Darkness trembles at his holy light. Now entrusted with your truth, we are chasing after you, never looking back at what's behind. For our eyes have seen this beautiful thing called love.